introduce you and welcome our new clerk, Hillary Smith. We had a meeting yesterday just to get committee work underway and prepared for the winter session. I'll give you a quick overview, and notices will be going out today and tomorrow with respect to committee work next week. Conformément à l'article 108.2 du règlement.
Pursuant to Standing Order 1082, the committee is resuming its study on the ArriveCAN application.
Office of the Auditor General, Mr. Andrew Hayes, the Deputy Auditor General. Mr. Hayes, you have a brief opening remark, and we all look forward to hearing from you. Thank you. Do you have a point of order, Ms. Khalid?
No, I was wondering, Mr. Johns' hand is up
Oh.
online.
All right, Mr. Johns, you have a point of order.
Yes, I do. Mr. Chair, I see this meeting has been called and deemed as an emergency meeting. And my understanding is that not only is your committee studying the ArriveCAN, but also 3 other committees, including Government Operations Committee, is studying ArriveCAN. We had 2 emergency meetings last week. Today, an emergency meeting is being called at the same time that 3 political parties are having their strategic caucus sessions right now. We're calling on this committee has asked for the Auditor General to appear to discuss the report on ArriveCAN. And this is ahead of the scheduled report being tabled to Parliament in mid-February, is my understanding. And for a couple of reasons, I don't think this is the right way to go. I think it's interrupting an investigation that's taking place right now by the Auditor General, something that actually the NDP called for. And I put forward a motion at our committee that the Auditor General, not just study ArriveCAN, but all government purchasing policies and practices, and seeing if they're being adhered to in terms of the Treasury Board policies that we have to adhere to in Parliament and government needs to apply. But this calling on the Deputy Auditor General ahead of what will be a tabled report, I believe, is interference in a study that's being applied, in an investigation that's happening right now. As well, I believe that an emergency meeting needs to be called when it's an emergency. I think that we all want to get to the bottom of the ArriveCAN scandal, but to have 4 committees studying it and demanding emergency meetings repeatedly. I want to talk about what an emergency looks like. I'm in Edmonton right now, where there's homeless people all over the streets, and I tabled a motion at a Government Operations Committee to look at government lands and how we would use those lands, Mr. Chair, to ensure that we have adequate housing for people. And we know that the Conservatives have talked about using 15% of government buildings and lands to build a housing for Canadians. We know the government has talked about using government lands as well. But my study was in particularly narrow focused on ensuring government lands are used for public purposes, for affordable housing, and ensure that government lands belong in public hands. That's an emergency. That's a reason to have 4 committees studying an issue when we've got homeless people skyrocketing out of control. I just want to make sure that, Mr. Chair, that when we call an emergency meeting, that it needs to be done in a way that reflects an emergency. We've brought in all the staff in the House of Commons right now to do this meeting ahead of what the Auditor General is already going to be tabling. And I think that this is interference in a study that's taking place. And I don't believe that this meeting should be taking place for that reason. And secondly, I don't believe this is truly I don't believe this justifies an emergency meeting in Parliament.
Thank you.
I wanted to put that on record.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. John. So your point of order is that you object to the meeting being called, which is not technically a point of order, but I wanted to give you time to speak. I will address your first point. In fact, this committee previously invited the Office of the Auditor General to appear on this exact subject while that investigation was underway. It was viewed as a routine meeting. That again was during a recess week. So there is certainly precedent. And in terms of interference, well, we have a witness here today from the Office of the Auditor General who is prepared to speak. So I don't quite follow the logic of this being interference. And I'll note that that previous meeting we had on October the 12th not only resulted in information being shared publicly, which was noteworthy, it also resulted in the auditor then taking steps to ensure the committee's concerns were addressed in the current report. So I've heard your a point of order, which again I listened to more to allow you to get on the record, but the meeting is going to proceed. Wait, so this, we're not in debate. Point of orders. If you have a point of order, say point of order. Otherwise, I do want to hear from Mr. Hayes. No other points of order?
A point of clarification then, Mr. Chair. This meeting could have been called earlier in the week. I find it suspicious that the Conservatives decide to move a meeting, to have a meeting on a Friday when 3 other political parties are in the middle of their strategic planning sessions.
Well, Mr. Johns, it's okay, Mr. Johns, it's Thursday. There's all kinds of overlapping caucus meetings. The letter I received that was sent to the OAG from Mr. McCauley was just end of last week, and so I worked through that as quickly as I could. So anyway, your objection is noted. Mr. Hayes, I'm hearing no other points of order. You have the floor, please, for up to 5 minutes.
Monsieur le Président, merci.
Mr. Chair, thank you for inviting me to appear before the committee to answer members' questions about our upcoming report on ArriveCAN. I would like to acknowledge that this hearing is taking place on the traditional, unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe people. As the committee is aware, the report will be tabled on February 12th.
Looking at whether the Canada Border Services Agency, Public Health Agency of Canada, and Public Services and Procurement Canada managed all aspects of ArriveCAN, including procurement and expected deliverables, with due regard for economy, efficiency, and effectiveness. I am happy to answer the committee's questions where possible. However, as you know, since this report has not yet been tabled in Parliament, I am not in a position to discuss our findings. We look forward to appearing again before the committee when the report is tabled. Mr. Chair, this concludes my opening remarks. Thank you.
Point of order, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Hayes. I have a point of order from Mr. Genuis, please.
Yeah, thank you,